Hey everybody, welcome to the show. For those who are wondering what just happened, you won't know because the mics were muted. The mics were muted and you did not know what was happening behind the scenes. So, haha. Anyways, tonight we got plenty of people tonight to talk about Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm going from my right onto downward. We got Alexander joining us.
Yo, I got clouds.
Clouds among clouds. We got Jesse.
Oh.
Greg, as always, my co-host from Mission Star Podcast.
Don't throw me under the bus.
And we have Jeremy Wilson, which I should get like a picture for you right now. You're just like a nobody.
He's generic white man.
Well, that might be insulting if I actually had a soul.
See? Like white person.
Yeah. But we're here.
Yeah, I am the token of Mission Star Podcast. Hi, everybody.
We are here tonight to talk about everything about Spider-Man Homecoming. And it's been a while since we did one. So for those who may be watching this on Facebook right now, here are the general rules in regards to the podcast. Hang on a minute. Where is the... Oh, no, it's fine. All right, cool. Number 1, we will discuss the movie as shown above to follow along. 2, we will talk about the movie in a non-spoiler review for anyone who hasn't seen the movie. 3, we will then move on to the spoiler section where we will discuss all kinds of spoilers. And 4, we will end our podcast with our final thoughts of the movie. And Jeremy just died.
Screw you guys, I'm going home.
Oh, wait. I think it's changing. Huh?
Oh,
Hey.
Oh
Yeah.
man, that kind of... All right, hang on.
Right, that was trippy.
Let me get this set up real quick. Oops, wrong picture. Yeah, okay, there we go. All right, boom. All right. So, while I fix this little thing on my side, stream-wise, because Jeremy is now on part of Greg's side, I'll leave it open to you guys to start off. So Spider-Man Homecoming, like what are you guys' thoughts on the movie in a non-spoiler way?
We're starting?
Yeah, we're starting.
Thank
Anybody can
God
jump
Marvel, in. Yeah, thank God Marvel finally got control of their shit again. At least in some small part.
I was like partial control.
At least in some small part.
There we go. All right, awesome.
Still muted, Jeremy.
Oh no, Jeremy is muted. Oh my God. There he is.
Spider-Man is a joint custody deal at best, and right now Sony still has 51% custody.
That is a good point. I forgot about that.
Right.
That part. That this movie would not be a thing without the help or the collaboration between Marvel and Fox Studios.
Sony.
Or
Sony.
Sorry.
You're thinking X-Men.
Yeah, I'm thinking of X-Men.
Fox and Universal are the ones who still won't share properly.
Yeah. So yeah, I totally forgot about that. That did happen, and that kind of made it to where it was today or this past year. In general, I really enjoyed the movie. I think I keep hearing this, but a lot of people, including myself, like to describe this movie as a lot of fun to watch. There were just there was tons of stuff that referencing to kind of Spider-Man lore that got me pretty. The inner nerd in me just got really excited. It's like, oh, it's from that thing. Oh, and they're referencing that thing and all that good stuff.
Yeah, there are parts of it though that rubbed me the wrong way. Like there are, and I will go more in detail on this later, but there are certain characters that got completely, totally redesigned that maybe it's canon somewhere, but I have never run into it.
I'm okay with the redesign, honestly.
I have issues with it.
There's some that are okay with the redesign, and other ones were just like, that is blatantly not that character ever.
I mean, to be fair, like it would be interesting how they would take it as far as if they make it like a realistic approach to the main bad guy in this film. Like it'd be interesting and weird to see. But at the same time, like if they went that route, I could see why also they could.
Oh.
The thing is, if they took a realistic approach to the main bad guy, the Vulture, he would have looked like the guy at the beginning of the Kick-Ass movie. He would have fallen off a building into a taxi.
Yeah. I loved the Vulture in this. Don't get me wrong.
No, I didn't have a problem
That's not the character
with
I'm talking about. I'm talking about one of the small supporting characters in this movie was a very small supporting character.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking
I know,
about.
I know who you're talking about, and I think that like the
Squirrel Girl. Yeah.
I think
the
the reason
background.
that, and this is coming from somebody who's a long running Spider-Man fan. A lot of Spider-Man's characters are dumb. A lot of his
Yeah.
villains are real dumb.
Yeah.
And to make the guy who I think you're talking about into
Oh.
anything, what's that?
Wrong. You said the wrong gender.
Oh,
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Really?
Yep. I'm not talking about a villain. I'm not talking about a hero. I'm talking about somebody who plays a very large portion in all of Peter Parker's lore, but in this had what it looks like a total redesign to me.
If you're talking about Zendaya, that's not the same character you're thinking of.
no, it's
I-
the
You didn't even know who this character was till the end.
yeah. Okay, yeah. Then
Okay, that's exactly
Yeah.
that's what I thought you were going for.
Yeah,
The second time you were like, nope, wrong gender. I was like, I think he's going for this character.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. Zendaya played the other one. Yeah.
As
yeah.
long as it has the same impact on Peter, I could give two shits what she looks like.
Yeah. Well,
That's
long run,
not my problem.
long run. Yes, but how they presented her is totally counter to everything I know about that character. Maybe I just don't know all of the ones because there's 1,000 different fucking universes. I mean, we all know in Marvel they change everything all the damn time. But this particular character, it's not any way I've ever seen her presented, and it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I'm willing to give it a chance, but it's still like, why? Why did you feel the need for this?
If you're referring to the fact that like trying to
It's
say
hard,
this without
it's hard not to
spoilers.
do it without spoilers.
I know,
You want
I know.
you know what? How about
Can
this?
we jump to another
We'll
subject?
get
then?
back to it. We'll get
yeah,
back to it.
we'll
in
get
the
back to
spoilers.
it. We'll
Put
put
the
it.
belt down.
Yeah.
What? You guys were going to yell at each other. I'm going to admire something I want to look at.
I mean, he has the right to show it off. So
No, the thing is, I know what he's getting at. I know exactly what he's talking about because there's still that part of my brain that notices the differences, that sees the differences, and then that little dude back here sits on a chair and just goes, "I hate it." I go, "Shut the fuck up and look at it objectively." So
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm like, I want to have that conversation.
yeah, I
Um,
definitely.
But
Yeah.
we can't talk about it right now.
Yeah.
Spoiler territory.
Yeah.
Put a pin in it.
Yeah, for sure. We'll
Yeah.
we'll definitely come back to it for sure. I'm gonna get to that part. But other than that, though, yeah, again, you know,
I really liked this really good John Hughes Spider-Man movie. It was really fun.
yeah.
Look, I'm gonna say this right now. I made that joke like 80 times already because it's 100% John Hughes-esque.
Yeah.
But it there was one moment in the film where it hit a little too on the nose.
Yeah.
A little too like, oh, that's just straight up one of John Hughes' movies in the background that he's running past. Okay, well.
Yeah. It definitely. Out of curiosity, I want you to get guys' thoughts, but we had past Spider-Man actors or Peter Parker actors in various movies of Spider-Man reboots and whatnot. In the main three, Spider-Man in 2000, the last
The dark years.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah. And then there's the
Tobey Maguire, then Andrew Garfield,
Yes.
and now Tom Holland.
so what,
Garfield did a decent one. Maguire,
Maguire was a good Peter Parker, not a great Spider-Man.
Yeah.
exactly.
yeah.
But that's the problem. The movie is both, not just one. We called
Yeah.
that Peter Parker 1, 2, and 3 awesome.
yeah.
Something about Spider-Man that I've always told friends and whatnot that is important to me. Growing up, reading Spider-Man was always about how he was kind of an outsider. He was a nerd. He was an introvert, and then when he puts on the mask, he becomes somebody else. He is able to
completely
kind of
opposite.
like, what's that?
He was like almost completely opposite of that.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, and everyone kind of goes, what? The only time I ever saw that in the films, like to its fullest extent, was in Amazing Spider-Man 2. And it was in the opening scene with when he's fighting Electro for the first time and he's kind of being goofy and putting on the fireman's hat. Like, that was the most like over the top silliness I had ever seen Spider-Man be in the films. And in this movie, it happened a lot more frequently. It seemed like this was more of a natural, like transition between Peter Parker to Spider-Man for Tom Holland.
And
Whereas
there was also that scene where they like, there was no like kind of hinting at it, or it was just thing. There was that one scene that they had where it was literally like, this is showing that it's basically a different personality.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I can't really go into it without spoiler territory, so we can come back to it. But you guys know what scene I'm talking about, where it's like, this is like literally Peter Parker, and then there's Spider-Man, and there's the difference right there.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I always took it in the comic whenever he did that, is that was part of his keeping his identity secret, and I felt like the movie kind of tried to implement that a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, this Parker also had the advantage of having the equivalent of the high school badass coat given to him by Tony Stark. Most other Peter Parkers in films have had sudden growth spurts and miraculous sewing skills, frankly.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, the
Good point,
original, like a lot of people forget about this, but the very original Spider-Man was a college student, not a high school student.
Yeah, but this is what I'm trying to get at, though.
lost
This is
someone.
the kid who rode a bicycle to school all the time. Then somebody he knows gives him a Jaguar, and he gets to play with it. That's an instant confidence booster.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love the idea of Peter getting his like better equipment from Tony. I think that's they started doing that in like the newer comics and with the cartoons on Disney XD. So like I thought it was very fun adage to the character overall.
I don't really enjoy that new aspect. I've always enjoyed the idea of Peter Parker as the person who's had to do everything for himself because no one can actually help him.
Are you talking about the Civil War era where he got the Iron Spider suit, or the more recent Amazing Spider-Man era where Peter Parker has an entire corporation behind him?
Neither.
I agree with you. I really like the fact that it was traditionally it's Peter Parker made his own gear.
Yeah.
I love that. But at the same time, with how young they've set him in the world that they've set him in, it makes sense to have Tony step in and provide a certain amount of gear. We still have the gear that he built himself.
Yeah,
we see that.
I am not going to argue that because that needed to happen. Because I did not enjoy this film as much as I would like to. I really wanted more out of this, and the way they said it, I don't think there's nothing they could have done to satisfy what I wanted. But
Yes,
Alex, how are you talking to us from the dark dimension there?
Yes.
Because I've unleashed
Phantom Zone's loading.
I've unleashed Soul, and good times.
Well, make sure to use the Eye of Agamotto and come out.
Never.
We're gonna.
But I have to drop the call and come back. But I'll do that in just a minute. I want to make this point. So you're saying that there's nothing that could possibly have been done to satisfy what you're looking for?
No, because I think the high school thing is what really was really grinding me pretty bad.
I think that's a true statement with the current situation. I think if Sony had actually backed off and just been like, "Hey, Marvel, fucking take it, go for it, have fun," I think that would have been a better one. I think you might have enjoyed that better. I feel like Sony still had enough influence in this movie where they tried to push it towards a younger generation rather than, well, let's kind of drop them in older maybe and see what happens.
I was saying for the high school thing that you did, I don't feel like I was the target audience, but whoever that target audience, they would have probably loved this.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Well, the target audience, I mean, I can tell you that right now. From the Spider-Man is one of the few characters in the Marvel universe that is super, super, super kid friendly.
Yeah.
Next to like Captain America.
Yeah,
and
I'm not going to dog this because it didn't meet my expectations. This was a great film for that audience.
But the thing is, though, the age of Spider-Man, I think, is very purposeful on Marvel Studios' part, because if he was any older, he would have been in operation for a while, and that would have blown apart the rest of their history and narrative they set up since 2008.
Exactly.
They would have had to explain why the Spider guy was running around probably about the same time Tony Stark would have first put on armor.
That's
it's a lot harder.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder. It's a lot harder to do something like that in a cinematic universe versus the comic universe. It's just
Yeah.
They were lucky. I was going to say they were lucky they found the little bit of continuity they could plug into it by making the kid towards the end of Iron Man 2 a young Peter Parker.
Yeah, that was kind of that was also a little bit of BS, I think, on like their part of like
It is, but
hey,
it was still
this
kind of
cool thing that we just made up right now.
Yeah, they're just like, hey guys, look how long we've been planning this. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought that was a deft shift. I always love it when companies can change continuity without destroying it.
Oh no, like I appreciate it. It adds a little bit more to it, but at the same time, that was totally forced. Like it worked out, but it was totally forced because there's no way at that time they were like, we're gonna get Spider-Man back. We're gonna be able to.
I was gonna say I don't think any reasonable.
No, I'm not saying that was
thinking
part
adult.
of the. I'm not saying that was part of the original plan, but it also does add a little bit more context to Homecoming when you think of how an 8-year-old Peter Parker would have been affected by being saved by Iron Man at that point.
Oh, yeah.
It's no wonder he gushes over him through Civil War and through this movie because that's his literal hero.
But
It's super fun. It's a super fun adage little thing.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like if that's really what we're going for with it's he's gushing over him because he saved him and all that. I don't feel they pushed that far enough.
Hi.
To an extent, I think I agree.
Yeah, no, it's I definitely get from that angle for sure. I think that in general, just like the direction with Peter Parker with this movie, I understand why. Like it's going for the high school years, everything's set up in this movie as far as like how he approach girls and how nervous he gets, and kind of dealing with that and balancing being a superhero at the same time and kind of figuring that out as the movie goes on. Like I'm okay with it. I personally like the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man a bit more than this one.
Me too.
But I could understand this version. I'm fine with it. And there was definitely
I've
moments.
actually had it's funny you say that, Anthony, because I've actually had a lot of like people disagree with me about the Amazing Spider-Man movies because I'm like, I feel that they're actually better. He's a better Spider-Man than Tobey Maguire's was.
Agreed.
Like,
Yeah.
People are like,
He's a
no,
better
I'm
Spider-Man
like,
in worse films.
Like I'll give it to Toby. Like he was the first one to actually kind of put Spider-Man on the map when it comes to the to mainstream media with the movie. But like yeah, after Tom Maguire, the other two actors were much better much more Peter Parker / Spider-Man characters than he was, in my opinion.
there's a comic series, and I don't remember which one it is, but it's Peter as a high schooler. I want to say like they rebooted the entire series or something like that, and he's a high schooler, and this movie
That might either be the
everything
Spidey
the same,
series or the Ultimate Spider-Man series.
Yeah, I do not remember for the life of me.
No, there was
but-
a new one Disney XD's putting out that's kind of rebooting everything, making it more in line with Homecoming.
No,
I think he was talking comic books, not cartoons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was talking. Yeah.
Well, I don't know then.
But I was just saying, like, I think it's fascinating that like Marvel and Disney to an extent are intentionally trying to layer these films in such a way that is going to make Infinity War fun for us, regardless that there's going to be stuff after Infinity War.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's going to be much more after Infinity War. The train for Marvel movies is not going to stop. But yeah,
Oh no.
They've pretty much told us it's not going to stop.
yeah. Just look at what's coming out this year and next year. It's insane.
The question is what the next phase is going to be.
Good point. Yeah. But yeah.
Oh, I have this very strong sneaking suspicion that after Infinity War, the cinematic universe is going to be drastically different, and it's going to have a whole new like cast of popular characters.
Oh, they've already
from-
said so. They've already said that Chris Evans he's not being renewed by studio choice. Robert Downey Jr. is retiring from the role by his choice. So the Avengers themselves are going to be massively different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I know
Well-
that Chris Hemsworth has wanted to stop playing Thor for a while now.
Wait, so Robert Downey is completely done?
After the second Infinity War movie, whatever that's going to be called, Avengers 4, whatever the
Yeah.
title is.
I hadn't heard that he was actually completely and totally done. Last I'd heard, he's like, yeah, I'm not going to do any more standalones, but I'm willing to do cameo stuff work, like what he did in Spider-Man.
Yeah,
He said that after he was like he first retired.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So this is newer.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
it's weird because like a little off topic here, but what's so bizarre, and I've kind of mentioned this before to friends, when you have a movie franchise like this, the actors are going to get bored of their characters, and just replacing them is not going to be that much fun for the audience. So you have to like just straight kill off the character, or just make them disappear some way. Yeah, effectively, yes. But
yeah, but around here we can do something more inventive, like Cosmic Cube them.
Yep.
Yeah, I have just so many ideas and theories as far as like how they would go about that, especially kind of drawn from the comics as well.
Don't hurt yourself.
I know, but
Actually, if we can jump to another aspect of this film that was super important, Michael Keaton.
oh my god,
God.
he was. I loved him in this movie. He was great.
He was great.
I love how they tied in the like the world, like basically Avengers 1 into the opening scene. And just in general, like how, oh boy, I'm trying to skirt around spoilers here. I liked it. We'll get up to that later.
Getting dangerous territory here, good boys.
So
Well, Michael Keaton had a really good villain because he wasn't a rule the world type individual. He wasn't he didn't have a ring of energy or garbage in the sky as an end plan. He was more of an average
still
Joe
don't
who took a few wrong
understand
turns. What?
I have a giant ring of death, and it's gonna do something.
There have been several superhero movies that ended that way. I didn't say I wrote it.
Like, I still don't understand that whole plot point. Like, I'm gonna have it. Okay, so in Avengers it worked because it's like, okay, giant hole that's gonna open into another part of the galaxy or universe or whatever. We're gonna fucking pour enemies in. Okay, but we go back to like Fantastic Four, where he has the giant hole that's eating the Earth.
Something like that. Although I think the Suicide Squad did.
Yeah, there we go.
It will form a portal and it does something.
What?
Suicide Squad was the worst
It's
version.
gonna
of
be
it.
bad.
I still haven't seen Suicide Squad or the new Fantastic Four. I haven't.
Don't
Steered
bother.
clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I've heard.
So save yourself time, because at this point you can watch it for free. Do not go see it.
When
The
I'll
hilarious
put
thing
it
is
this
both
way.
movies
I'll-
have the same plot. Groups of people brought together for no reason. Studios got involved, and the whole thing was jacked. There you go.
well, Fantastic Four also had the stigma of the studio just wanting to make a movie before they lost the license, so there's that problem. But
yeah,
Studio still jacked it up.
yeah,
Somehow.
absolutely. What I was gonna say is that my brother-in-law is the type of guy who watches movies just for the sake of watching movies. I mean, he could watch the biggest POS and go, "It was fun because explosions and a boob," and I'm like, "All right."
Oh, he
man,
must like Michael Bay.
Movies.
He loves the Transformer movies, which I'm
Oh
like,
my
okay,
god, it's
you're
oh.
movies,
awful.
guys. Oh my god.
God.
But if he tells me Fantastic Four is garbage, then you really messed up.
Yeah.
definitely.
The only people I've met that are like, Fantastic Four wasn't a bad movie, have literally never read any of the Fantastic Four. I've never seen any of the read any of the comics, seen any of the cartoons, or seen any of the movies whatsoever.
Where
You know,
did this
that
bus
Prince
get us
was
to? I thought the
supposed to be a
stops were
fast
supposed to be
movie.
along. I thought this bus was supposed to stop along Spider-Man: Homecoming. Where do we get into this?
So we can't let the speed drop below 55 miles an hour.
We're discussing needless plot points within the Marvel films, and I thought that there was something in Spider-Man, or there wasn't one in Spider-Man, and we were putting Spider-Man up on a pedestal and telling it. Good
I know,
job,
but we
like that.
turned half the show into a needless plot point all of a sudden.
That was how we were going to prove it, Jeremy. Pay attention.
All right.
I'm
Well.
black. I don't pay attention to anybody.
This is what you get the back of the bus.
Oh man. Speaking of which, so Spider-Man. No, it's
Going
no.
to hell.
I know you are. No, I think that there's a lot of stuff I like in this movie. I think special effects were fine. I think that the humor that Peter Parker put in the movie was great. I love it.
I
the
will
witty
I will
banter.
disagree with you there, Anthony. I will disagree with you there. That is something about this movie that I didn't like.
Oh,
I did not like how cringeworthy Peter Parker was sometimes.
I mean,
There were moments where I was like, just do it correctly, Peter. What are you doing? This is so
He's a
weird,
high
Peter."
school kid. They're always cringeworthy.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
It's
it's-
totally cringeworthy, but it's like, this is something you expect for someone's like 14, 15 years old who's still
no,
trying to figure
no
things out.
disagreement. This falls into the same category of what you were saying earlier with and I say you because You're just a bunch of disembodied voices at this point to me. But with like, you understand why it was there. You understand the reason it was written into the script. It just, you didn't like it. That's
Yes.
all I'm getting at. Totally understand why it was there. Made sense to the film. Made sense to the character. But I was just kind of like, this
Yep.
isn't as
No.
enjoyable for me as they think it
No,
is.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yeah, it also like going back to the aging with Peter Parker and the role he played in this movie. It also skewed to a younger audience, and it skewed to I won't say my generation, because me and Greg are in the same generation, but like a little younger per se, like the younger crowd than us, like
The under 30s.
yeah, like they're going for the kids who are like are dabbing every time they get in at like fidget spinners with them.
Oh, speaking of that, on a side note, I saw this movie at the drive-in with my family, and it was really hot, so my face was getting all sweaty, so I used my sleeve and I did this, and my nephew goes, "Don't do that, don't dab. You're too old to dab."
We're no longer
like-
allowed to wipe our faces
Wait,
with our
what?
shirts.
I was going to say, I actually thought the level of humor in the movie was appropriate because it's a coming of age story, and coming of age stories always have a large amount of awkward feelings behind them. And the jokes that were being told by Ned Ganke, whatever people want to call him, throughout this film, it felt a lot like high school to me. He's trying real hard to be funny, not quite getting there, but I applaud the effort.
Yeah, definitely.
I think another thing too, the humor being a miss, you have to remember it's not just a high schooler; it's a freshman in high school. Do y'all remember being a freshman in high school?
Ugh.
Do y'all remember having that
You're
crush
super
on the
young.
senior girl? Like, dude.
Nope.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
How-
first
how
off,
old-
that guy had balls. Peter had balls
Yeah,
for
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not
how
only
least
that,
he
he
went
went
how
for the
old are they-
homecoming date.
Does anyone remember how old they say Peter was in the film? Because I do not remember.
14? Or he argued
14?
15. And he argued 15.
Oh,
think it was-
okay.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, there was definitely.
Oh, that's
saw-
right. He was a sophomore in high school. I remember that word coming up.
Was
But
he a
still,
sophomore? Either way,
but still, Alex, same point though. He went
Same
for the
point.
senior and he got
he
there.
went
That
for
was
the
Yeah.
senior,
you know,
who was damn popular, obviously.
Yeah,
in
He
high
went for-
school.
and
That
he
is
didn't
applause
just go
for
for
it.
like, I'm gonna have a crush on her, maybe ask her. He's like, nah, bitch, homecoming, let's go.
Yeah, in terms of my generation, that was totally golf clap worthy.
Yeah, for sure. I will say though, like there was definitely points in that movie where, seeing him kind of fall every time, like trying to make that relationship work, in the back of my mind, it's like, make it happen, please. There's got to be some happy ending or happy, situation for him. If in that situation, I was like, no, doesn't happen. It's like, oh, well.
I do want to applaud Marvel and I guess Sony as well for how genius the title is actually is, because it's Homecoming. Spider-Man finally came home to Marvel mostly.
Yeah.
Like it's a genius title, really.
I don't remember where they announced that title. It was at some convention or some big
That was
press thing.
that was a
It's
Comic-Con
probably at a-
announcement.
Yeah.
Was that Comic-Con? Okay, I wasn't. I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
remember. I couldn't remember. I remember when they announced it because the internet was like, "What does homecoming mean? What could that have to do with anything?" And somebody jokingly on the internet was like, "It's about his homecoming dance in high school." Little
then
did he know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, they were also correct.
Mm-hmm.
The movie
Right,
the movie
yeah.
did end at the homecoming dance, so
Yeah,
they
it
were
did.
also correct.
It really did. It really did. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about non-spoiler about the movie?
No, I'm chomping at the
I
bit to
felt
get to
there was
this,
a lot of padding in this
Yeah.
movie.
A lot of
yeah.
padding.
Yeah.
Is
I
that-
didn't feel that. I was actually more disappointed in the trailer showing off, 75% of the movie's plot about 6 months before it came out, but that's a personal issue.
Oh, yeah, that was disappointing too.
I
but
don't know if I classify it as padding so much as Marvel's universe building, because they're very big on these solo ones being a big universe building. Like they want to build the character, they want to build the backstory there, so they can slide them into the group movies. So
I don't
I
think
think,
anyone cares about suburban neighborhood.
but they didn't really show a whole. I mean, the suburban neighborhood was only there as a point to show, like, fuck, I can't say anything. I need spoilers.
He's
I will
chopping
say
at the
this.
bit.
I will say this about the padding aspect. Something that kind of irritated me throughout the film a little bit, not a whole lot. It wasn't like a make or break situation. Every time I saw it, I just kind of like, Okay, I get it, guys. I get it. It's in the Marvel universe. Was any time that they mentioned anything that happened in the other films? Anytime.
Oh,
It's
the coach playing those videos, and that doesn't technically a spoiler. Screw you all. But something like that. That was just like, really?
I see, and here's why I didn't mind those, because of the post credit scene.
Yes.
That's why I didn't
Yeah,
mind
that
those.
was great.
That's
That was
true.
awesome. I loved it.
I actually feel
but-
like. Sorry.
Go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say that what he meant by padding needs to be better defined, because technically most movies are padded out to a minimum of 90 minutes anyway. So I need to know what more specifically you're talking about. There's a lot in this film.
But we
Maybe
need
should get into
spoiler
spoilers
territory
so we
for
can
that.
discuss it.
Yeah. Well, I think we're all begging, but Greg, finish your point so we can move on.
It was just, it was like, you know, when you watch the Netflix series, they're just kind of like the incident and then move the hell on.
Yeah.
This movie had just a ton of scenes where they were just like, remember those aliens that attacked New York? Yeah. It's like,
That was a bad time for everyone.
get it. Like the movie, everyone who's here has seen those movies. Move on.
Maybe everyone is there has seen those movies. Some people actually may pick and choose, and it honestly it felt a lot like reading comics, because there's often a few people in every issue that their dialogue is exposition for the last couple of things that have happened for those that may not have read the prior story.
Marvel.
I have this thing in films when I feel like the director sitting next to me and nudging me in the ribs going, remember that? Did you see that was cool, right? Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Like in X-Men First Class when the Wolverine scene happens. I hate that
Yeah.
scene. I hate that scene.
I
think
don't
that scene-
fan service right there.
I don't think that was fan service, but I will adapt a saying that Stan Lee uses at every convention, just in a different genre. Every movie is someone's first movie.
Sure, I'm not arguing that, but it also felt like it didn't feel like it was for the first timers. It felt like it was for the people who were already fans of the franchise, who had already seen Avengers multiple times, who already knew exactly what was going on and prior, and
I seriously
And-
doubt that, just because those people already know what events have transpired. But there's always somebody that's just come of age where their parents will allow them to see their first superhero film. Spider-Man: Homecoming may have been it. Hopefully, it wasn't Deadpool.
I think.
You know what?
yeah,
No,
it'd be
I hope
hilarious.
it was Deadpool.
That would have been hilarious. But I think what I can get from you two is that, you know, Greg, I know you've always been the person who likes to look forward and like to have like things on their own rather than trying to reference into, you know, things that the creator or director has done in the past for the sake of like, hey, you know this thing that was a reference to? Yeah, I did that. But at the same time, like I think, you know, going on Jeremy's point, you know, people watching a film for the first time, whether it be a Spider-Man or whether it may be a Deadpool or maybe other films, you know, the references that are put in there may intrigue the viewer. Like, hey, who is that character? I'm going to go back home, look it up, going to watch the movie of that character, and then learn who that character may be in its own film. Kind of a...
I'm not arguing that. I think you're absolutely correct. The whole idea of putting things in the film that could potentially have the first timers go and see the first films, you know, they have to go buy them or rent them or whatever, is more revenue for everybody. That is crystal clear. But I still think to an extent there was too much in this film. Too much reference to the other stuff.
Would it be safe to say that Marvel's trying to build a spider web of movies?
They have been. They have.
Get out of
Like,
here.
no.
They
Okay.
have been.
Well,
This is the
It's a web
Marvel's-
line at best.
Clever. Damn.
No, it's a personal thing. I didn't
Yeah.
think that it made the movie bad. It was just something that
Annoyed you.
it broke my immersion.
I see what you're saying.
It
Okay.
sucks.
That's why I said it goofily or goofily. Is that a bad word? Anyway,
If it was goofy, it would have been. It broke my emotions. Yup.
yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, I don't know. It's not a thing that like whenever they showed it was a make or break. It wasn't like, oh, okay, here we go again with the stuff from New York. It was just kind of like, okay, I get it. All right, we move on. Is it okay? We're just gonna stay here for a second. Okay, all right. Now we're moving on. Cool.
Okay.
That's how it felt for me. Also, Nothing in this movie was a surprise for me, but I will talk about that in the spoiler section.
Yep, I think we're all dying at the bit to get at it. So for
Nobody was
those,
surprised because they released 75% of the movie as trailers.
well,
Anyways.
yeah. I mean, that's yeah,
Well-
yeah. All right, so for those who are watching on Facebook right now or listening to this on the podcast or wherever you may listen to this or watch this, we're moving on to the spoiler section. So if you don't want to be spoiled, this is your last chance. Come back another half hour or so to catch our final thoughts. But now we're going into our spoiler section of the show. So, all right, where to begin?
Dibs, I'm going first.
All right.
MJ, what the fuck?
I'm okay if you know what. So it surprised me at the end that girl was MJ, and maybe there were some hints that she was MJ.
I wasn't surprised at all, but that's besides the point.
I mean,
But she's not Mary Jane Watson.
yeah, like it.
That's not MJ. That's
Well,
not MJ in name. Literally not MJ in name. That is not
That-
MJ in personality. I don't even give a shit what they made her look like.
It's
Okay,
not even
I'm
meant to be
ignoring
Mary
that.
Jane Watson to be clear.
But then you call her MJ, and that's an immediately throwback to that.
Oh wait a minute.
Probably not
Yeah,
the only person
it's-
on the planet to be called MJ though.
No, fuck you. It is.
Wait.
Here's the thing.
Because
Here's the
Michael
thing.
Jackson was called MJ for a while as well.
He's called the king.
And she didn't
Let's go
touch any
back-
other boys.
What?
Let's go back to something I said earlier about the wink wink nudge nudge bullshit. This is that. Like, I don't mind that she has a different name. I don't mind that she's a love interest. Guess what? Peter Parker had like 18 different girlfriends.
That's true.
It's
Yeah.
100% true.
Minimum.
Minimum.
Minimum, okay? And that's not counting the other alternate universes.
Right, exactly. So I don't give two craps who he dates in these films. The fact that they were like, my name's, I don't remember what her name actually was. She was, but my friends call me MJ. I was kind of like, So those wink, wink, nudge, nudge moments.
So okay, so
That didn't feel like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That felt more like a director troll, and people bought it, unfortunately.
That felt more like Negan with his baseball bat, and, well, I'm not going to get into that.
So, okay, so this is actually rather new to me in the sense of like, because like when she said her name was MJ, I was thinking like, oh crap, this is Mary J. Watson's redesign for character and whatnot. But refresh my memory, that's not the MJ that they're going for. She's definitely a different type of.
I don't have IMDb in front of me, but if I remember correctly, the name of the character was Michelle, which is another another Spider-Man girlfriend in the mid 2000s range of Amazing Spider-Man, if I remember correctly. But her name was Michelle. She said people could call her MJ toward the end of the film.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. That's what she says from
Just for
across the table.
you, I'm going to go look it up.
All right, cool.
Okay.
Thanks.
No, I remember her saying MJ from across the table, but I don't remember what. Like, it wasn't Mary. I know that much. I will say this. By a show of hands, since everybody's on camera right now, by a show of hands, who was surprised that the bad guy was the love interest's father? You see how nobody's raising their hand?
What? You serious?
Okay.
You guys.
Okay, so her name was Michelle. We don't know what her last name is. We don't know what her middle name is. It's just Michelle.
Yeah, okay, but the character of Michelle, as in this movie, was actually very commiserate with the comic books. The Michelle, I'm thinking of, shared an apartment with him for a while because her brother was Peter Parker's prior roommate who was convicted of a crime. I think he was a cop. She moved in. She already had a chip on her shoulder, even though she was flirting with him. So it was this weird love-hate relationship in the comic books during the period she was around.
To be honest with you, every Peter Parker girlfriend has always been alpha in the relationship. Like, every single one of them. There's never been a submissive one that he's
Did
had.
anyone else get the feeling that she wasn't just alpha, she was also stalker?
That might.
I mean, just a hint of it, right?
No, but to answer your question, Greg, I wasn't surprised that Zendaya's father turned out to be Michael Keaton because she had alluded to it in interviews about 2 months prior to the film.
Okay,
I
didn't.
know.
Okay.
I thought it was alluded to in the film like multiple times because my brother and I were sitting next to each other. We both looked at each other and I was like, "Boy, they fucking what's it called?" Because I hate this about the Walking Dead show. Transcribe the hell out of that, and he just goes,
so I didn't.
I
watch,
think the
like,
word you're looking for is foreshadowed.
So I didn't watch like anything other than the few trailers that I saw, like commercials play for it on TV. And how I figured out that was going to happen is how much emphasis they put on her so early on and built that whole thing up. And it was like, okay, there's that, and then there's Vulture. Vulture has a family. $10. $10, Dad.
Well, she mentioned her father like 4 times, but you hadn't seen him prior, so I knew that had to be important.
That's kind of what I mean by and it's not transcribed. Damn, there's a word. It's not foreshadowing. There's a different word that I'm looking for that starts with a T. It's driving me nuts. But I've always accused The Walking Dead of doing it because
transgender. That's it.
Okay, you got it. We're there.
Vulture's transgender. You heard her folks.
He lays eggs and fertilizes them.
But no, here's why it bothered me. Here's why it bothered me. They should have shown that to the audience long before they showed it to Peter. That the problem with that scene is that anybody who was paying attention, which, you know, I got to be honest, the movie going public is not me. They would have seen that coming. I mean, realistically, I'm going to throw this out here. I'm, thinking back to that day that I saw it with my family, and the only people that saw it coming were my brother and I. Everybody else there was surprised by it, so I guess it worked.
I think a better way to show it to the actual audience without fully on showing it would have been just have her in the house, just some little quick throwaway scene where it's her in the house leaving and bye dad, and just all you see is him from behind and he just waves behind, or says goodbye or something like that. So you don't fully see his face, but it still is that looks familiar. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Alex on that one, because if they had actually shown what her parentage was towards the beginning of the film, it wouldn't have been even the anticipation of finding out who it was. It would have been more frustration waiting to find out when Parker was going to find out what the rest of the audience knew.
Well, here's my problem with that is the anticipation didn't exist. The anticipation of who her father was. I'm talking about just from a story perspective. There was nothing that was ever told to the audience throughout the entire film up to that point that was maybe in your head thinking there's some kind of connection. Most people didn't see it coming at all. It was a straight up Shyamalan twist for most people
isn't that the point though for most people? I mean,
well, in another way they could have. Well,
you had just said that the film was there was tension there because you were trying to figure out who her father was, but the film never made it a point for you to care about that.
Well, I think another way they could have done it too is they could have just somewhere, it would have taken some work to figure out how to write it in, but somewhere along the way when it's them talking, they could have mentioned something about her dad did salvage work. That would have been enough of a hint to be oh.
Well, the film to me already did enough of that. It already 100% already did enough of that.
But to bring them together without so it's clear to the audience, or if they're actually half paying attention, it's fairly clear to the audience without and this is her dad without that whole that's what he found out. Just mentioning that he did salvage or something like that would have been enough to connect the two together, and you're oh, when's he gonna find out that the girl he wants to be with is fuck.
Yeah, for me, and I was one, me and just almost in this group that raised their hands about when that real happened, and we didn't know. Label me dumbfounded or when it happened, but for me, all right,
you're dumbfounded.
Yeah, I just, for me when I was watching the film, I guess I wasn't quite paying attention closely to it, and I think it kind of goes with Alex saying or whoever said it, they don't put it out there, so where it's something of a focus. The focus of the film of Peter Parker is him going through high school, him trying to get in goods with the Avengers, so he can go in, him just figuring things out with his new costume, with his technology, and just growing up as a person. And then the side story of finding out who the villains, where is he from, and all that stuff.
Well, here's my problem, Anthony, with that. Here's my biggest issue. The idea the film takes up to that point is a complete 180 in terms of what Peter's on his mind. He's just lost the special suit because Tony took it away. He's kind of he's feeling shitty about himself. He almost got a bunch of people killed on a boat, a ferry, if you will. And then he learns that her father is the bad guy that he's been fighting. I personally felt, and I'll say this much, the tension in that scene was fantastic, and I would not change a thing in regards to that. Peter discovering that was great. But for me, listening to the dialogue that both Zendaya's character had and Michael Keaton's character had, and certain little things here and there that were building up to that, I saw it coming a mile away. And when they revealed it, it didn't feel like a reveal of like, hey, did you guess it or not? It felt like a straight up, he's been dead the whole film kind of twist. And I didn't think that the film needed that. Had we just had the tension of them fighting and knowing already that like when Peter's fighting him on the top of the truck, or fighting his henchman or whatever, that we know that the bad guy is the love interest's daughter, when he asks her to the prom, when he interacts with her at any time, us as the audience can go, oh man, he's making the biggest mistake. Like, what's going to happen next? How is this going to work? The tension would have been higher, and it would have been a lot more fun just knowing right off the bat. Now, I understand that a lot of people who are going to go see this film are not me. They're not watching it the same way that I'm watching it, and I know that implicitly. The problem is that for me, that shock, that surprise didn't work. It didn't surprise me. It didn't shock me. Like I said, I saw it coming. So I kept thinking of ways that could have transpired differently on screen to make it a little bit better. But the filmmaker really wanted to cement the idea that the audience is Peter Parker and vice versa. That what Peter knows is what we know, straight up. No offense or buts. It was a straight up No Country for Old Men situation. We're only supposed to know one perspective. So Peter being surprised, we were supposed to be surprised alongside him. I didn't feel that because, again, I saw it coming.
Okay. And yeah, and for you, that is definitely something that, you know.
Jesse, you're muted. You're trying to say something. Your
He's
sign
like,
language is
gesture,
amazing.
Damn it.
But
So go on,
I was
Jesse.
saying, to get your point on where it's supposed to be on Peter's perspective, we weren't. We were also on the Vulture's perspective too, partially. I think that's the disconnect where you had with the
that too, yeah.
Yeah.
and we also dealt with the perspectives on a very truncated timeline. It's not like we saw individual characters do the mundane things, you know, pour milk in the cereal, get on the bus to go to school, squat and take a dump. You know, we saw all the important bits.
Yeah.
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 I
Definitely.
mean, we did see that one kid.
Yeah.
Happy just wants to have a conversation, damn it.
For sure.
We saw him drop a Death Star.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
7 times.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, also, guys, I didn't hate that reveal. I just didn't enjoy it as much as I think others did.
I hear you.
Just to make that clear.
Definitely. Something I'd like to point out. Obviously, there's a bunch of, you know, references and stuff in the film that references to kind of Spider-Man lore. For those who, you know, like us, you know, have read or have watched in the
I
past.
really wish they didn't do as much.
I enjoyed it. It was cool.
I didn't think there was a whole lot in there, really.
I could point out one that was like super geeky, and I'm pretty sure anybody who hasn't read the comics would know. It's like when they're putting on, or when it was with Mike Keaton's group in that I won't say cave, or in the warehouse that he was in, they're making the machines and whatnot and weapons.
In the Vulture Cave.
And like, you know, they have like these fist gauntlets that they made that like shoot out electricity when you hit them, and the one thing that points out is, like, you know, the outfit they're wearing is like the exact same, it's almost the exact same outfit as the Shocker.
No,
yeah.
It wasn't pointed out. It was straight up said.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I think it was fucking hilarious. Where
It was
he's just
great.
like, I thought that was the anti-gravity gun. Well, you're the Shocker now.
It was great. I loved it. It was awesome.
That was also another moment for me where he and I loved the moment, but I definitely had already called it before anybody else. But he pops out of the truck and he has the yellow sleeves, and I was just like, "Oh, he's gonna be the Shocker. That's fun."
Yeah.
And then he
can't-
punches him, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
I can't remember who the first character was that held those gauntlets, but he was another Marvel character. Not the Shocker, but something else. Because the second guy to pick up those gauntlets, that was the actual Shocker.
Yeah, the name that he had.
Yeah, I saw it in an article. I forget who it was. I actually like the Matt Gargan reveal. That was pretty nifty.
Yeah.
Matt Gargan is the Scorpion in the comics.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So-
Sorry, I was like,
So
what?
that's actually funny. That was actually the one cameo or reference or whatever that I didn't get. And I was talking to my brother because he didn't pick it up either, and we were both like, "Who was that? Like, who is that character?" So we
the
looked up
Scorpion
actor.
tattoo pretty much was a big.
Yeah.
That was
I
a
didn't see
flashing
it.
bat
I didn't
signal
see
worth
that.
of a sign.
I didn't see that. It was like somebody else had noticed it. Was just like, I think it's the Scorpion because of the Scorpion tattoo. I was like, you had a tattoo? So I just looked right over my head on that one.
Same here. It went over my head as well. I have to go afterwards just to look up what I missed online, and that was referenced. I was like, oh, that's who that guy was. I guess I missed it too as well. Maybe I was just focused on his face outside of his tattoo.
Well, I kind of got hooked by
He's
the
looking at
name because I
Zendaya's
knew
butt.
the name.
Sorry, say again.
He said he didn't know the actor's name. He didn't know necessarily what character it was, but he knew the name Matt Gargan because that one had a Venom symbiote for a very long time.
Oh,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
So
Gotcha.
it's bugging the hell out of me, but I cannot find anything about the Shocker's gauntlets now. I'm looking specifically for that. You know me. You say something, I'm going to look for it. Okay.
Yeah.
Like all I found is like, oh, he originally appeared in TV and the Spider-Man and his amazing friends. Blah blah blah. No, I just want to know about his freaking. I'm going to punch somebody to death. Well, it's not even so much punch somebody to death. It's I'm gonna punch at you and make you like explode with vibrations.
Yeah. Definitely.
How those are supposed to work, but yeah.
Yeah.
Or go ahead, Jesse.
I made mention of padding for me, the part where he was chasing down the van for the first time. I felt that him going through yard after yard just went a little too long.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It did go. I mean, it was funny. Don't get me wrong, it was funny, but it just went a little bit too long. Could have been wrapped up a little bit quicker.
Each individual yard or sight gag that they put would have been funny, but all together is like, okay, can we get on with it?
I thought that was
That's
funny
the-
because it felt like a series of jokes all at once. I mean, it felt like an homage to Ferris Bueller in certain respects.
Oh,
It also
definitely.
Oh, it
Yeah.
definitely was.
it also
no, that was
it
an
al-
outright homage to it.
It also poked fun at the idea that a lot of comic book fans have laughed at is how does Spider-Man swing through the suburbs? Well, answer is he doesn't.
The
And-
answer is, fuck. I hate golf courses.
Yeah. And then to me, that scene was another scene reminiscent of when he was stuck in the bunker with all the decommissioned weapons and a couple other scenes throughout the film where they're really trying to get through the idea that Peter Parker is still very much in the learning curve right now. Whereas
Very
Iron
green.
Man, Captain America, Thor, even like the Black Widow and Hawkeye, this is a perfected art for them. He is still very much the rookie. He is their Iron Fist right now.
Yeah. Definitely.
It was really funny when he was going through the suburbs part. All I kept thinking was back to when I used to play the Spider-Man games, and to get through areas that were flat quicker, I would do that the slingshot move like this, the one that just goes straight out and pulls you forward. I was like, just do that on the roof. He doesn't know how to do that.
So I tracked it down. Guys. Shocker's Vibro Shock Gauntlets. That's the actual name of it. The origin is from Earth 616. Lead designer Shocker. So he made those.
Yeah.
They were originally his.
Oh, cool.
So I don't know who used them before him because he made them.
Yeah, in this movie they modified it a little bit so it was the Tinkerer who did it, but
Yeah, the Tinker made them, but yeah, it was the original way back in the day. It was 1967 Shocker.
Dude,
Yeah.
every villain made their own gear, or stole it.
yeah, he's
pretty
pretty
much.
right about that. Very few
Yeah.
actually made their own gear when it came to the Silver Age of comics. But I did enjoy this movie for its less obvious points in that a lot of the adventuring that both Parker and Toomes had throughout this film, there wasn't a particular set piece that was made for either one of them, unlike the X-Men films, where certain scenes seem to be set up just for one character or another to go to berserk.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything out here felt a little more organic about how it came together, even including the police chopper trying to get Parker off the side of the Washington Monument.
Yeah, that was a cool scene. I like that. That was awesome.
Yeah, that didn't end well.
Yeah, it was a very well made superhero. Like, let me rephrase that. The superhero moments were very well done. Something that Spider-Man movies have never really done before is put Peter in situations that are hard for him to be Spider-Man. This movie did that 4 times.
Airplane.
So
Airplane.
Airplane,
Come
yeah.
on.
Yeah, that was great.
I didn't expect that set piece to actually be as awesome as it was. To finish the whole thing on the back of a gigantic cargo plane sounds lame, a little Die Hard, and a whole lot Harrison Ford. But they actually made it work pretty well.
And then, like, when he crawled over, like, the camera for the stealth camera, and it's just, like, this giant fucking Spider-Man.
Let alone when they broke the skin of that plane and it turned to a giant disco ball in the middle of the sky.
Yeah, that was great.
That was awesome.
That was awesome. that was the best. Kind of jumping around with the film. I do want to talk about that scene that Greg kind of alluded to earlier between Michael Keaton and Peter Parker. That entire car ride, that scene
dude.
was so good. I think I forgot who said it. It might be Kevin Smith, but like, you know, there was so much tension in that one piece. You could cut off a knife. It was insane. Like, you know, because like there was that realization that, you know, it's like, oh, you know, he's figuring out like, oh, this, you know, is this Spider-Man? It's like, you know, after ask some questions, and you know, to this point, we kind of figured out, you know, Peter Parker was pretty bad at keeping secrets or being good at lying.
Yeah.
So then when he was being kind of asked questions from Michael Keaton, you know, from the Vulture, he was narrowing down, like, you know, that he is Spider-Man. And then the minute like he drops off her daughter, and then he's talking to him
Has the dad talk.
Yeah, that dad talk. Like, he has the gun right there, to which I kind of wonder why nobody was, like, anybody who saw the car right in front was saying anything with the gun, like, kind of
If you've been to a high
outside.
school dance,
Yeah.
yeah.
Apparently,
If you've been to a high
school
school dance, you know that they don't. Yeah, they don't spend time looking at cars with adults in them. You don't make eye contact with those people.
Nope.
Fun.
It was funny though, because there's like a bunch of people like all around the car, and he's just chilling with like the gun on the back of the fucking headrest,
Yeah.
just like looking back, and it's like, okay, even if you don't normally look in those vehicles, like, dude, really?
Well, look. To be fair, he is Batman.
Fair
That is
enough.
true. That is very true.
Fair enough.
That is very true. That entire scene was great, though. I loved it.
A fun little aside for that scene. After the movie was over, we're sitting in the big parking lot because it's the drive-in, and my brother-in-law comes up and he just goes, "I'm confused about something. I thought that Spider-Man always had his identity secret and that no one knew who he was." And my nephews go like, "Yeah, I thought that was the case." And Josh and my brother and I look at each other and just start laughing. And he's like, "What's so funny?" I was like, "Everyone in the Marvel Universe knows who Spider-Man is. No one's surprised that it's Peter Parker."
It's
ever.
like the worst kept secret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They used to know. Now it is one of the better kept secrets, but that's as a result of one of the worst told comic book stories ever.
But like,
Well, not only that, but people always figured it out very easily. Like, it was never a situation where it was a DC situation where, like, I can always see he, like Superman. Like, it was never that. It was never that on that level of obliviousnness.
well, it was
Villains
never
figured
like
it out
I
all
put
the
on the
time.
glasses, I take off the glasses. Who am I?
Yeah. That it was pretty obvious as far as, like, why he was kind of unable to keep a secret throughout the film, and like him kind of being found out by his mom that he's like Spider-Man. It's just like, oh, that adds to
Is what?
his mom.
His aunt.
Oh, sorry, aunt. Sorry.
Yeah, his
I
mom
forgot.
is dead, dude.
I forgot.
Bro, his mom's dead, his dad's dead, his uncle's dead.
Yeah.
All
And
them
her
bitches
name-
dead.
And her name was Martha. Oh my god.
Oh, it ties everything together. But yeah, like
Actually,
oh
the
wait,
thing is, though, you mentioned Aunt May. She stole the end of that film.
Yeah.
yeah, that was great. That was
The very
awesome.
end of that film,
What
she
the-
robbed it from him.
Yeah.
That was picture perfect too. When he's put the techno suit back on, he is so happy with himself. Takes off his mask, stares out the window. Camera pans around. You notice the blurry figure in the background, so you don't know how much she knows. Then she just yells, "What the fuck!" at the top of her lungs.
That was great.
That was perfect.
That was an awesome
So-
ending to the film.
Did anyone else feel it kind of weird that Uncle Ben was never mentioned, like at all?
Nope.
No,
I didn't feel
not in the
no.
least.
no, and
No.
the reason being, I believe, is because the fact we've been told this story numerous
Well,
numerous times.
I agree with that. We don't need to rehash the entire thing. But
True,
what
but
is
I also
the
think
iconic? What is the iconic reason behind Spider-Man being Spider-Man?
I mean, yeah,
Yes,
the
you're
great
not
power
wrong.
equals great responsibility line just doesn't really apply here because that's also something we've had ad nauseum through these films so far. So that's
But
also not
also-
something we need to rehash. They need to get more to the central idea as to why Parker needs to be a hero beyond just morbid responsibility.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree with that entirely. I think that going back and having him, like, I don't know, pick up a picture of Uncle Ben or whatever, or like, hey man, I'm gonna make some rice, and then having a quick cry, that's not, we don't need to see that. I think the way that, like, just moving on and not having it mentioned at all and just him being like learning to be a superhero was a very smart move. Personally, I am
yeah.
sure.
It's kind of the whole Batman thing, you know. We know the story every time. We don't need to rehash.
How many times do I have to see his parents die?
No,
Every
no.
video game and new movie that comes out, oh, the Waynes get shot. Okay,
It's
here
not
come the
even-
pearls.
It's not even seeing them die. It's the pearls. Every freaking time,
Yeah.
it's always the
Yeah.
pearls.
So yeah, I
Look,
agree. I,
at least it's always the Waynes and not the Wayans. That would be a totally different film.
I agree. I agree, with Greg. Like, yeah, like it was good for them to kind of put in the direction of, hey, let's have Spider-Man do Spider-Man things and not retell what we already know. So, you know, it from that jumping off point, it was a lot of fun watching the film. So, like, it was
Yeah.
straight to the point. And aside from that, though, yeah, just everyone.
And- and-
Can I vote Tony Stark best dad ever?
Tony Stark, like
Hey,
Robert Downey
look at it this
Jr.
way.
is
He
so
buys
good.
he buys his kid extremely expensive toys, and then when you misuse those toys, he takes them away as punishment. And then when you earn them back, he does give them back to you.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
Best
it's-
dad ever,
It's the first time in a while Avenger has liked Tony Stark before the end of the film.
right?
I know, right?
But to be fair, he's not actually an Avenger.
Yeah, and he hasn't broken his spine yet.
He turned it down, so you know.
That so when that
Oh, yeah. Turned down the suit, but
No, he turned down
You know,
being an Avenger, and he turned down the Mark II suit.
he turned down being a full timer. He'll still be there if Stark calls.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but that's because he wants to get down on his knees and do dirty, dirty things to Tony Stark.
Yeah. And as
you
we've
guys-
already seen, thanks to the Comic-Con footage, he will take the suit.
yeah the
Yeah, I
one
was gonna say, like, have you guys seen the Marvel art, like the Marvel Cinematic Art director, like a giant poster that he made with every character that's gonna be in the movie on
oh
it?
yeah it's gonna be
No, I
So-
saw the footage at Comic-Con with him in the suit.
oh that's right he
like,
was there
I
Yes,
don't-
yes, I've
yeah.
seen that too. But I'm just asking if you've seen that.
The thing you guys got to remember, I don't watch that stuff unless it's literally playing on TV while I'm at work. I don't see it.
yeah so the thing about the ending that kind of I have to go back and I think even the director kind of answer that question as far as like why did Peter Parker decide to turn down that offer from Tony Stark, because throughout the entire movie it was built up for him to not only grow as a person and be a better superhero, but like also trying to be one of the Avengers the entire time. And when that moment happened, like he denied it, and I was confused for a while until I looked up why the director said the reasoning for that, and just kind of paraphrasing here, but I believe the reasoning for it is because he wanted to. Oh man, I'm totally bad at this. I think the reason for it was like he wanted to, go back home and just kind of, he's not ready yet per se. Like he's still, young and he's still getting through high school life and just still trying to figure things out.
One of my favorite things, Anthony, about the original comic was that Peter always tried to join a group within the Marvel Universe. He tried to join the Fantastic Four. He tried to join X-Men. He tried to join the Avengers multiple times. Never worked. So the fact that this
What?
movie had him like, oh yeah.
No, he's been a member of 2 out of 3 of those groups.
Sorry, you're correct. My bad. It didn't never work. Sorry.
It didn't
in the
work
early
until
days, it didn't work.
2002. Then it worked
Right.
a lot.
Right. That's yeah. Sorry. That's I should have clarified that. It didn't work for a while. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. Like, that was the crux of his, like, I want to be a good superhero because I want to be a part of this team. I adored that. Unfortunately, we'll never see him try to, like, we'll never see Baghead Spider-Man because, well, Fantastic Four's not there.
I took a different meaning behind all that because I thought towards the end of the film I think it was a combination of things. He figured out how to be a superhero without the hyper special suit, which he was getting his prior technological suit back, and then he also took the path that Tony Stark intended for him of not being Tony Stark. If he had said yes to that second suit, he would have been led out to reporters almost exactly the same way Tony Stark began in the 2008 movie.
Yep.
And I think that's why Tony Stark had that smile, not necessarily because he was turned down and not necessarily because Parker chose his own way, but because he figured out that Parker didn't choose his way.
I see. Okay. Well, that makes total sense because he did say in the movie, like, don't try to be like me. Trying to be
I don't want you to be me.
Yeah.
I wanted you to be better.
Yeah.
Yeah. All I was getting at was I liked how throughout the film up to that point, he was trying to be a part of the team. He was like, that was his goal. That was his end game.
Mm-hmm.
And then you realize that there's more to being a superhero than being on a team.
Yep. And then I like the fact afterwards, it's like, Pasta's like comes out and it's like, hey, like where's the kid? Like we got to down something. He's like, oh, you got that ring still? It's like, yeah. And then I
was gonna say that the end of the movie really justified a lot of what came prior because a lot of his adventures up to the plane was him trying to emulate Stark or act like he had the full force of the Avengers behind him. But when he was on that plane with the Vulture, that was literally him one-on-one. He learned to trust himself and his own abilities and his own gear rather than rely on what everyone else had given him, all the prior advice. He just did it on his own. And now he's finding out he can do it on his own. So I think he's trying to discover all of his abilities and capabilities before he offers them to someone else again.
Yeah.
It's that whole coming of age part of the movie.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Also, Happy, stop being a jackass. For like 5 seconds. 5 seconds.
To be fair, though, he had already dealt with one man-child. I don't think you want to deal with an actual child.
No, but I mean, like, you can at least respond back and be like, nothing today, bro.
I think that was the point, though. There's never anything, so why call him back?
I would have pissed myself if fucking Happy came out of the bathroom with 2 fidget spinners just going...
That would have been great. That would have been awesome. But yeah, no, it was I enjoyed how the story was told. And I felt like the story was very complete. Like I didn't see particularly any plot holes per se. Maybe there is one, I just didn't notice it. I really enjoyed it. Like again, I said this again in this podcast, but like it was very fun to watch, and it was definitely a fun movie to watch on its own. Versus what the other movies were so far.
And that post-credit scene where they set up a potential sequel with the Sinister Six.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I was actually talking to a friend about that, and I was like, "Who do you think will be in it?" Because we know that the Vulture and Scorpion will be part of the Sinister Six. Do you think we'll get Mysterio and start naming all these other villains? And he was like, "Well, who's?"
Sony has had a hard-on for Mysterio for a while, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's in it. Kraven the Hunter would be a low CG option that would fit in very well with the crew. I think they would try to avoid. I don't know if they'd avoid Sandman because of the negative connotations behind Spider-Man 3, but he'd be fun. I would honestly hope they go Hydro Man.
I think if you put Sandman in there, you have to put him as very much a bit character where he's not actually mainly involved, but he's like briefly seen with like the Breakout or something like that. So that it's like he's out in the world and maybe we'll hit on him later on, but he's not really part of the entire story.
Yeah, that's I was going to say that Marvel Studios is trying to avoid the perception of retreading old stuff, and they also don't want to get associated with other portrayals that have fallen flat, for lack of a better term.
True. Isn't the
crashed and burned like that airplane?
Isn't the Shocker still around though? Like I don't think he was.
Yeah, he's still around.
He's still around. Only the Vulture was actually captured.
He could be. Yeah, so because
and the Tinkerer's gone too.
Yeah.
Oh, it's true. You're right. Yeah.
What's interesting to me is that like, as I looked up Sinister Six teams, I had discovered that like there were more than I thought. There were more like team combinations than I thought.
Yeah.
And
there's tons.
yeah, so in that regard, you could literally have just 6 of any of his rogue gallery, and it would be totally acceptable and fine.
Agreed.
It's a movie. Comic book fans would pitch a fit if certain members weren't in there, though.
Comic fans can
did
pitch
anyone
all the
catch
fits that they want.
Did anyone catch the names of all the weapons that Hogan was going through before that plane went off? Because I remember he said a decommissioned Hulkbuster, a prototype Captain America shield, and something else.
So
Yeah, I heard that prototype Captain America shield got me worried.
That was either the one from Iron Man 2, or it may have been a version of the Chevron shield that's appeared recently in comics.
that's what I'm wondering, if it was the Chevron shield, because they didn't actually pull it out, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they never pulled
Like, it was
anything out of
just
the
like
boxes.
no, he lifted up like the Iron Man helmet and a couple small things here and there, but like he didn't lift up the shield. So who the fuck knows what shield that was? It could easily be the original shield that he was trying to push on Captain America from Captain America.
Yeah,
I mean,
it could be.
who knows?
Yeah,
Because you know the Starks, they don't throw shit away.
that's true. That's very true.
Not even old mistresses.
God no.
Yeah. But yeah,
Or past trauma.
yeah. I wouldn't be remorse if I had to at least mention the fact that, again, Stanley making his cameo yet again in another Marvel film.
That was an awesome cameo too.
Yeah, that was
I'm
great.
trying to remember
One of my favorites
That
now.
was a good one.
where was that at?
When he
In the alleyway.
left the guy to his own
The
car
librarian.
to break in.
What?
He was the librarian.
No,
I'm
no.
thinking of Amazing Spider-Man.
So when Spider-Man webbed the guy who was trying to break into his own car, he webbed him to the car.
Oh,
That's right.
okay.
Out the
Yeah.
window.
He was a schnook in the window. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
That was great. That was awesome. I always love him making his cameos. So yeah, it was cool seeing him again. Better than that though, yeah, other than that, again, like I'll give my whole spiel in a minute as far as like my final thoughts, but everything that's up far with this film, I just really enjoyed. And partly I'm a big Spider-Man fan, so it's kind of partly it. But also just as a moviegoer, I really enjoyed it. Again, I enjoyed the entire ride. It was very fun. I think that there were definitely great moments in this film that that was interesting, and there were moments where I was like, they might have taken away from. Also, it was interesting the fact that that Flash Thompson character was completely he was still the same character as far as like how he is.
They made him a rival instead of a bully,
Yeah, so it was
which I
interesting.
thought was a great update.
Yeah,
Which is, well, I was gonna say, which actually makes sense considering the world we live in now, where people, it's like I liked the Flash Thompson in this a lot. I thought that little dude that sits on the back of the chair and knows the comics really well was like, he's not buff enough, and then I told that little guy to shut up. I was also going to ask you guys. We didn't really touch up on this, but how do you feel about his best friend, Peter's best friend?
Ned?
I can't remember his name for the life of me.
Yeah, it was Ned.
That's Ned Leeds.
Ned. Okay.
I actually really
don't
like Ned.
I don't care either way.
I don't mind him. Like,
I really like Ned because, once again, this is Peter very early on. Peter has no idea what the fuck he's doing, really. Let's be honest. He's just kind of making shit up on the fly. And having Ned there is kind of his backup for, like... I mean, I didn't like how far they took it where he was, like, pro-hacker high schooler. That was a little bit much for me. But I like that he was the backup for Peter when he was being Spider-Man, where it's like, he's covering him for a little bit, but he got caught in the library and it's like, what are you doing down here? It's like, watching porn? Like, he had no idea what to do, and he's just like, fuck, shit, whatever. But I like that they brought him in as, like, kind of the comedy relief to Peter, because Peter had some kind of downer moments, and they were like, okay, let's have Ned kind of make jokes and be funny. And then they actually had him kind of built into the Spider-Man persona as a backup for, as he called it, his Oracle, or his guy in the chair.
Right.
Basically,
The guy in the chair, yeah.
yeah.
The guy in the chair, he was the Oracle to Spider-Man.
Yeah, he was
I
he was
did
a very fun character in my opinion, because there were moments where like Peter they had the alien rock. I don't know what else to call it.
Oh yeah.
And the two guys come into school to take it back, and I think one of them was the Shocker. and Peter runs into danger. Ned just stands there, and then the camera pans a little bit, and there's a dude behind the glass just going, "What are you doing here?"
Right?
Like, stuff like that, like
Just
broke
like,
the
what are you
tension a little
doing
bit.
here?
Was very fun.
It's like, nothing. You, chess.
I thought it was kind of interesting how they remade Ned into Ganke from like Miles Morales' Spider-Man issues, but I didn't have an issue with how the character was portrayed through the film. He wasn't as funny as I think they hoped he would be, but he was still very much high school funny. You know, goofy, dopey, trying really hard, and it was enough of a portrayal where I felt for the guy towards the end. I also liked how his version of Man in the Chair was basically 4 PCs with Google Maps and a couple other simple tracking softwares.
Right?
In a high school computer lab.
And yet I loved it. And yet somehow he still managed to backdoor his way into Happy's phone.
Yeah.
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 And hack the multi-billion-dollar suit. Okay. Why was there a USB port on that suit?
That is a good question. Why is there a USB port on that suit?
I think it's more important to ask where is that USB port on that
You don't
suit.
want to know. You don't want to know.
Right in the web shooter.
Tony Stark making some interesting choices to the suit.
Tony Stark making questionable choices.
Speaking of choices,
As per
why
usual.
did he need kill mode? What the hell does he think this kid is doing with his days?
That's a good
Wait.
point.
Time out. Remember, kill mode only showed up after training wheel protocol was disabled.
I know,
So-
still, what does he think this kid's going to run into? Like, ever?
Well,
I don't.
you know-
I don't know. Maybe
Well-
fucking killer aliens from fucking space.
Yeah,
Like,
I
Well,
mean,
you gotta think. Tony Stark's got to think of every contingency he could think of, and then some. So
how many different combinations of webs did he have?
oh, what was like 2?
50 something.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Way too many. Tony gets
There were-
bored, so he just adds shit.
You know
Yeah.
what, though? If he had really thought ahead, he wouldn't have added that shit to the suit because puberty is dangerous.
Oh,
Right?
yeah, good point.
I
You
did
shouldn't have
like
even
the
loaded
little,
that stuff up. That should have been version 2.0. You can come get that later when I trust you.
Yeah.
I did really like the little quick wink to the electric webbing.
Yeah.
Oh, the taser webs, yeah.
Yeah,
Take away.
the reason I liked that over other wink nudges is that was actually functional to what was going on in the story.
Yeah.
Some worked.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was cool. I definitely liked, like the fact that he's like, oh, I have all these different modes I can choose from, and it's like this is too many. What was Tony
Also-
thinking?
Let's choose one. It's like, okay.
Tony's AI is getting scary good. Can we agree
Oh,
on that?
Yeah. So
Like, it's getting
Did you guys-
scary good.
Did you guys hear about the college students had to shut down their AI because they had created its own language?
Oh, shit.
I
That's
mean,
a real
Yeah,
thing.
that
Headline. I read that headline.
that apparently was debunked.
Was it?
Oh, was it? Okay.
There was a later story that came out that said that didn't really happen.
Well, like,
but
so
still,
for me, like,
technology.
he called her, what was it? It was Karen, right?
Karen, that's what
Yeah.
he named it, yeah.
So when Karen's like, is that Liz? Go say hi to her. He's in full costume. Like, tell her how you feel. What the hell's wrong with you, Karen? We're busy.
Yeah, and then there's the added joke that Karen is technically the wife of the Vision.
Oh, really? Huh.
Paul Bettany, who plays the Vision for Marvel films, his wife is Jennifer Connelly. Jennifer Connelly is the voice of Karen.
Or suit lady, whatever you want to call her.
Yeah. That was great. Okay, that's interesting. Good to know. If there's anything else you guys want to talk about, I feel like we kind of talked.
That final post-credit scene where
Oh, of course. How can I forget? Yeah, that was the best. So for those who, I mean, you're already in the spoiler section, but like for those who watch a film who didn't stay for the after credits, the last part. So those,
Why are you even here? Why
know,
are you?
right?
Why do 2/3 of the theater get up as soon as the credits start playing? How many of these movies have there been? How ridiculously dumb are you?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
how long have they been doing this?
Another good point.
Only a couple
9 years now.
Only,
9
only a
years.
couple years. No
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah. It's very end of the film that you see Captain America come out, does his informational speech like you saw in those videos that the gym teacher uses.
Yeah.
And it's
Right.
it's
I'll be right back. I gotta grab something.
all right.
Uh-oh.
Gonna follow him.
Oh god, it is.
Crack is bad.
But I was gonna say like it was
You enjoying that look at my black backside?
No.
um
No.
but it was funny. It was funny because like he comes out and he's like talking about about patience.
Patient.
Yeah.
Patience.
And
And waiting for and being disappointed with the final results. Like, that's how I kind of felt about the movie.
it was hilarious. He answered like he's like, how many do I have to make these? Like really? It was great. I was cracking up. Everybody else that was there at the movie theater was cracking up. It was great. It was awesome. But yeah, it was great. But other than that, though, like, is it? Well, Jeremy's not here, but is there anything else that that's left unsaid about this movie before we kind of move on to the last part of it?
One more thing. What do you guys think about that whole, half mask thing he had?
So, yeah, that's the point I was making. So when when Greg was talking about how like it's basically two people. There's Peter Parker and there's Spider-Man. That's the thing I was talking about. Like that is the point blank. There is no questioning this imagery of there is two people with that mask. There is Peter Parker and there's Spider-Man because you're literally seeing half his face, half the mask. Like it doesn't get any more clear than that. It really doesn't. But it's also something they've used a lot. We have seen that a lot in the comics. We've seen that a lot in cartoons, things like that. So it's kind of one of those iconic things as well. So it's a nice throwback to like hey, this is our origin thing. But at the same time, I guess it's good at making sure people understand that it's really like Peter Parker and Spider-Man are kind of separate people. And that's a totally different personality when he actually has the mask on and he has to make that decision.
Yeah, I don't mind it honestly. Like it's still rather cool looking, just as a visual thing. But I can also see why, like hey, we've done this multiple times. Kind of the same thing about Uncle Ben. Like we've known how this always happens and how it always starts, and kind of throwing one like seeing half his face and half the mask thing. We've seen it tons before. But to me, I don't mind it. It still looks visually pretty cool. But yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I'm with. Boy, it's funny. We don't do this often enough for me to like names.
You forgot
Really,
my name,
Greg?
already? Wow, Greg, you forgot my name.
No, Anthony, I talk to you all. I talk to you every Sunday. Shut up. But no, I
Jeremy, Jesse.
Yeah.
No, that's Alvin, Simon, Theodore.
Or if you
right.
want the name that my customers at work always seem to call me, Alan.
Really?
Don't know why.
Oh,
Don't know why.
I assumed it was going to be Dick Breath, but okay.
Okay, so on that note, since I have put names together, I agree with Alex. That's what I was gonna say. I want to say I was gonna agree with Jeremy, and then I realized that was not Jeremy who said what I agreed with. So
Yeah,
now
Jeremy sits in the back of the bus. I sit in the front.
The revolution
Okay.
is coming. We will get you, crackers. Trust.
But
My friend, the Japan Mexican up there, is going to back me up.
Japa Mexican. There's got to be a better word for that.
There
Anyway,
can't
we're
be
way off
because my
topic.
8-year-old daughter came up with.
wow, that's
We're
interesting.
way off topic at this point,
All right,
guys.
so
And
go
neither term is accurate.
go on, Greg, before we get steer even further off this
what do
course.
you mean, you guys? Anyway, sorry.
What do you mean, you guys?
Nope.
Just a
ending it
man
there.
pretending to be a man, pretending to be a man.
No, I agree with Alex saying with that whole like it's that distinction to the audience. There's the difference between Peter Parker and Spider-Man, even though it is the same person. He his persona changes just a little bit to facilitate this cool thing that he can do that he can't do without the suit. So, and when I say without the suit, I mean like he just doesn't want to because of secret identities and all that jazz. So, yeah, I just was agreeing with Alex. That's all. Don't read too much into it that I'm agreeing with Alex on anything,
I
guys.
was gonna say, guys, mark this shit.
Mark it. Awesome. I actually gotta fix one thing. I just realized as I'm doing this little thing. All right, it's fixed. I had the numbers backwards for some odd reason. I don't know why.
And he deleted me.
Oh God, I lost everything. We're actually
Turn on the stream.
we're actually not live actually, guys. We've been
What?
just talking to ourselves the entire time. All right.
Don't tell us that. We've had issues
We
with
did
that.
that before. We're not doing that shit again.
Yeah, Jeremy and I have lost 4-hour podcasts.
No, trust me. I think I did that before.
No. Me and him, when we did the Ghost in the Shell one, he legit did that. He did not send us live. He just recorded it.
I forgot to push the go live button on Facebook. But
that should be up on Netflix soon. I got to watch that.
I'd say it's worth a watch for Netflix. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All
For
right.
the curiosity aspect.
No, I want to see it.
Alright.
I think that Hollywood adaptations of anime that have been way too faithful have fallen flat in their face, and the ones that are more loosely adapted seem to do pretty well. So I would like to see it.
This one's actually fairly faithful, but we're once again way off topic. You can go watch the VOD.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's just get down to our final
So
thoughts
confused.
before we end the show for tonight, and I'll start with me since it's right on me. So let me just put this down so you can see my face a little bit more. So yeah, again, I'm a broken record the entire podcast, but again, I really enjoy Spider-Man. I really enjoyed this film. It was a lot of fun watching it. I enjoyed everything that was in the film. The tension between Michael Keaton and Peter Parker, and that car scene was great. I loved the fact that we're seeing a coming of age of Peter Parker, especially in his high school years, where everything that he is going through is something that a lot of high schoolers go through, especially the awkwardness that a lot of high schoolers are. And there's definitely that part of it, but also him, in the battle scenes, figuring out like it's not just the suit that makes the man, like it's the man that makes the suit. And there's definitely some prizes. There were some prizes for me at least when it came to some reveals. And I think that what Sony and what Marvel did for this film was awesome. It was great, and I cannot wait to see its second film, or him be in the Avengers film, and that's going to be pretty awesome to see. So my overall score for this film, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. All right, so our next contestant is going to be. Give me a second here. Where is this? Okay, it's Alex.
Okay, Alex, how do you do in the swimsuit competition since you're a contestant?
So I'm going to preface this with saying this might be skewed by the fact that we finally have what is a better Spider-Man movie, because it's not just Sony doing whatever the fuck Sony's been doing. So
I would make
honestly,
Funimation, apparently.
We'll get to that some other time. So I honestly, I really did enjoy it. I felt like while some of the humor was very cringy and what didn't quite hit the mark, I felt like that played very well into the fact that he's a sophomore in high school. Sophomores in high schools try and make jokes that just miss the mark totally. It works really well. I like how they tied Tony Stark into it as a father figure to this kid, especially because God knows if we're ever going to have a kid for Tony Stark, and this actually felt really well for how he wanted to try and develop Spider-Man into being something better than him. It tied in very well, especially to bring him more into the actual movie universe that they're creating. I also like the fact that, and we didn't touch on this at all, how Spider-Man was recording his entire adventure in the Avengers movie.
That was great, yeah.
Where it was all cell phone video and stuff like that. We didn't touch on that at all. I really enjoyed that. I thought it was really, really good, and it kind of gave you a kind of behind-the-scenes look into the whole thing.
It was a nice catch-up, piece of catch-up exposition.
Exactly. It was okay, so here's what happened there, here's where we are now. It was a good way to tie it kind of together into the movie universe. Overall, honestly, I think you should go see this. If you haven't seen it, go fucking see it. What the hell's wrong with you? I'd give it a 9 out of 10.
All right, awesome. Next on our list is going to be Jesse.
Okay, well, first things first, I need to adjust my scaling because I have adjusting all of my scores because I set the bar so low for Logan, which I shouldn't have. I need to put Logan up higher so I could, accurately, gauge all these movies I'm watching with you guys, or discussing with you guys, I guess. But
Fine. How many claws is it?
I think I'll probably bump it up to an 8. But again, to preface what I said at the beginning, I wanted more out of this. I think the high school aspect didn't gel well with me because the experiences that they're showcasing there, I did not have in high school, so I couldn't relate to that. So, but it was a good enough film for what they were trying to do. For the setting that they had set up. The action scenes, a lot of them were fantastic. A lot of scenes between what the mundane stuff is like, I could care. I really wish I could care more about it. That being said, 7.
7. All right.
Solid.
Okay.
Especially for a Sony movie.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So the next person on our list to give their final review is Greg Dietz.
I'm right in between Jesse and Alex. I think that there are certain aspects of this movie that I'm not the world's biggest fan of. I thought it was interesting to put Spider-Man basically in a John Hughes movie. I keep saying it, but you can't argue that that's what a lot of the high school stuff was. I think even the director said it's highly inspired by John Hughes movies. That being said, I liked that. I thought that was an interesting take. I have a strong disdain for just references for the sake of it being a reference. I hate it. It just doesn't. I hate it. I'll never like it. That's just me. But whatever. I know others did like it, so it works. But it gets docked a point for that. The other thing that I don't like was the how well everything was just told to me as I watched the film. I saw everything coming. Nothing was a surprise. Not that I look for surprises, because I've had this argument before about I don't give two craps about spoilers. But I felt like, as I don't care about spoilers, I don't think that a movie should hinge a whole plot point on a twist. I hate that. So that gets docked a point. That being said, those are the only things that really bothered me about the movie. I think that Tom Holland is damn close to one of the best Spider-Man I've ever seen, both voice actor and actor. I think he embodies what Peter Parker is, a neurotic kind of guy. And then the second he becomes Spider-Man, he's better and more confident, but barely. And it was very well done in that regard. On a visual aspect, there were a few moments where, like, they're standing with a giant backdrop of New York, and I was like, they're clearly on a green screen set. But there were other moments that were really well done, like when he's sitting on the fire escape. You couldn't really tell that it was a green screen set because they really blended that together perfectly. But I thought everybody who was in the film acted very well. I didn't see any moments that I was like, nah, I'm good. Yeah, I really can't think of anything else to say about the film other than there was just a few moments that I just didn't like. Just a couple things I didn't like. But other than that, I enjoyed the movie very much. Probably I'll see it again when it comes to video or something like that. I wouldn't rush. I'm not going to rush to the theater to see it again. The only movie I'm doing that with so far this year would be Baby Driver, which I'll happily see again.
Ooh, yeah.
But yeah, with that being said, I'm giving it an 8.
All right. Last but not least, Jeremy, what is your final thoughts on Spider-Man Homecoming?
Well, to start off with, I'm glad you remembered I'm still here this time.
Okay,
Last time there was a bit of an issue.
Yeah. Let's not talk about that.
I'm sorry, who's Jeremy again?
Cracker, I will come over there and whoop your ass.
Let's go.
Race
right
here, bitch. Come on.
We don't pay attention to people on the back.
I can back that fucking up. But No, this movie was awkward in the sense that it was meant to be awkward, and that's what I really liked about it. Most of the Marvel films have an overabundance of characters at times that are really too snappy and too cool for their own good, and this movie didn't have any of that. Just about everybody was 80% of the primary cast was somewhere between the age of 16 and 20, and they played younger than that extremely well. They had a good emotional range to them, and everybody really seemed to know their part going into it, and they weren't overshadowed by the abundance of adults in the film. And as far as a coming-of-age story, this is a good one told in the context of what would happen if you were bitten by a radioactive spider and felt like you had to do something with it without shoving the usual stories of power and responsibility and the death of white rice down your throat.
Just remember, the spider died.
Hopefully not before it bit Cindy Moon, but that's a whole other issue. But this was very solid, and it has an extremely different feel from the other Marvel films. Is it as snappy as the others? No, but it's not meant to be. So, and it filled an hour and a half of time very expertly. So I give it an 8.5.
All right. Well, that does it for the podcast, guys. I want to thank everyone who joined me tonight on this podcast about Spooderman. So before
apparently Anthony watched the porn parody while the rest of us went to the theater.
Yes,
Spooderman,
somehow.
Spooderman.
So before we end the show, going from my right to the last person down below me, Alex, where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me on Facebook as Capiture Photography. You can find me on Instagram as Capiture_photography. You can find me on Twitch as BIGIEU. And you can find me on Twitter as the same.
Awesome. Jesse, where can they find you on the internet?
Nowhere. I'm going to be in my hermit cave.
Hermit for life!
Sounds about right.
He's up there with Morty as far as public profile.
But I think more than likely, people can find you on the Rolling 20s podcast, correct?
Yes.
Cool. Awesome.
If I let him.
I will come there and take your belt.
Oh, no.
Dare you come here and take it, man. I am ready for you. I will toss a rabbit right in your face.
Hey,
Keep the webcam on for
break
that
into your
one.
house and get away with it.
The challenge.
I don't like it when mom and dad fight.
You want to come in a house full of black people? Come on, man. See what it's like.
Yeah. When you attack me, the cops shoot you.
That's if the cops ever come to my neighborhood. Cops don't come here.
Okay, touche. You got that.
Yeah.
I'll give you that one. For those who are wondering, yes, we're actually friends. We just screw around all the time like this.
Greg, where can they find you on the internet?
Hiding from what just happened. No. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under Chub Rock Geek. You can find me every Saturday on Half Empty Energy Tank streaming some dumb game. And you can find my reviews on Mission Start Podcast. The next one I'm going to be doing is, missionstartpodcast.com. The next one I'll be doing is Hey Pikmin.
Oh, okay.
The most slow-paced game I've ever played in my life. That's a hint. That's a hint to how the review will be. So
nice. And Jeremy, where can I find you on the internet?
Apparently, they'll find my foot halfway up Alex's ass, but that's a whole different deal.
Only halfway? You just really don't have the spirit behind it today.
Of course not. I'm using below 9,000 on you. You're not worth it. So, I'm on cosplay.com under the screen name of Freight. I do a weekly podcast for Mission Start called The Rollin' 20s, all about comic book news and reviews. We just finished doing a show about the Flintstones in San Diego Comic-Con. We have another show upcoming with the first volume of the Green Lanterns from DC's Rebirth era. I have to... What are my next appearances? I have to go to SAC Anime to do a special introduction for the latest show of the Cosplay Wrestling Federation, which, yes, I am the current champion. And if you want to come get it, I am standing right here, ready for all comers. But at the same time, it's also been announced that I will also be at SoCal Pro Wrestling the same night in my debut as a manager for one of their wrestlers. Which one? I can't tell you yet. Come to the show and find out.
Yeah, super sick. I'm actually
I like how he did
hyped.
the arms like he's actually like super fucking serious bouncer man.
Hey,
Had your
be the
promo-
character.
Had your
I'm
promo
a-
not been more serious, I would have yelled phrasing when you were like, "I'm ready for all comers."
I am
Um,
ready for all comers. If you ain't ready and if you're not ready for whoever comes at you, you don't know whether you're using the dental dam or the condom. So
Fair enough. Fair
I like how he's
enough.
got both though because he is courteous.
well prepared.
Let it be known, because like I feel like
I live dangerously close to West Hollywood. You don't know where I've been.
let it be
Fair enough.
let it be known that we get to brag about Jeremy being the champion on our site for the next 5 months. No, wait, we're in
September.
yeah,
so-
because
Yeah, about 5
What?
months actually.
yes.
Because it'll be the end of January before the next defense I get scheduled for. And besides which, if you think the conversation between me and Alex are bad, my uncle is Jewish. You should hear that conversation.
I've heard that conversation. That's scary.
You know, he'll ask me if I pick the cotton for my shirt myself. I'll ask him if air is still free due to the size of his nose, and it just goes back and forth.
That's great. That's
Pretty
awesome.
good.
We do it out of love.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You can follow me personally on Twitter at Defective Naruto. You can follow the work that we all do at missionstarpodcast.com. This podcast will be up in the podcast section. Yes, we have a podcast section for this podcast down in front, and it is on Stitcher. I'm still working on getting it on iTunes, but you can follow the podcast there or on our site. So by the time this will be up, it'll be, what's today? Tuesday? More than likely,
Tuesday.
Probably more than likely be up by Friday, if not sooner. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Next,
Hey, what's the next one of these supposed to be about?
that's a good question. I was thinking
I have a
Atomic.
vote.
Which one?
Actually, it's out right now. Atomic Blonde just came out as well, but that one just came out. What about Valerian, or whatever the fuck, however the pronounce that?
Valerian in the City of a Thousand Planets?
Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that yet, but that is on my list to see as well as Atomic Blonde. I got to see both of those.
Yeah, I need to see Atomic Blonde as well. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel not to go too deep into it, but like, you know, I knew the fact that it looked cool, but the fact that it's getting some mediocre reviews, it's like I had a feeling that it was gonna be like that. I might check it out. I'll look into it. But yeah, like Atomic
Yeah,
Blonde.
if you only hold out to watch movies that everybody loves, this is going to be pretty boring.
That's why I was like, well, like we've gotten really good movies across the board, except for when we went to see Ghost in the Shell. But
Oh, that's true.
because there was we covered why that was bullshit.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah, but
this
yeah,
one seems to be kind of along the same lines for why people are not enjoying it.
mhm.
It's not exactly the same, but it's because something got shoehorned in, and I'm not going to go into it because I've just heard rumors. But
Right.
I think it'd be a good one to talk about.
Okay, I'll be down for it. I would also put out there the two Dark Towers as well for when that comes out. And then
Let's look at what's out right now.
yeah, there's actually some pretty good stuff right now. I would also want to suggest, because it's I had said no in the past and strictly to movies, but due to recent events that Netflix has been doing recently, I think we should open up to some Netflix series. Like I would like to do a review podcast on the Castlevania series that came out recently on Netflix.
I want to watch that.
It's
I'd be
super
down with
cool.
I've been talking about this since the beginning of the year, and I want to do a podcast that is strictly on Netflix shows or series. The only caveat is I would want, if we're going to do that, I would want the participants to have watched everything within that show and or series and or film.
Yeah, that's the only thing
No, yeah.
that's going to be coming.
That would
Castlevania-
definitely require a bit of time, but I'm okay with that. as long as I
Castlevania
get
is
my
very
account.
easy to do if you're going to binge watch it. It's 4 freaking episodes, guys.
Yeah.
Really? That's
Four
all?
20 minute. It's 4 minutes episodes.
Four
Yeah.
23-minute episodes. It's very easy to do. You can do it in one day.
I don't think they want to watch a Mission Start board meeting right now. Can we just decide on which movie?
Okay. I'm putting my foot down.
Okay.
I'm saying it's going to be of 1,000 galaxies.
Valerian.
Whatever.
Valerian?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm saying Valerian. I think it's a good one.
All right.
Even after
I have no
this season
argument.
with Jeremy on the Rolling Twenties, I really showed a little interest in watching that movie. So
Yeah.
I'll bow out of that one.
Okay.
All right. I mean, I'll go down to watch it. I'm always down to watch movies, honestly. But yeah, I'll go see it. But yeah, that's gonna be our next movie, guys. So, all right, put it on your calendars. Next time we'll have it, we'll let you guys know. Anyways, with that being said, thank you guys for watching We'll see you all next time.
This is mine. This is mine.
For now, old man.
Mine.
For now, old man.